Yeah, it's me, John Porter again. I'm speaking in support of Yang for president. Uh, I've got more than 40 years as a certified appraiser, actually certified assessor, and then another 20 years as a certified general appraiser. And the proposal of the guaranteed income, I'm going to call it a $1,000 a year tax cut across the board for everybody. Uh, I think people like tax cuts better than subsidies or guaranteed income. Uh, I think the main point here is the desire to level the playing field between the e-commerce companies and the bricks and mortars companies. Bricks and mortar companies, they pay property taxes, sales taxes, a lot of income taxes, employment situation, Social Security. There's a lot of taxes on the bricks and mortar that the e-commerce people simply do not pay. And it allows them to sell their products for cheaper. The bricks and mortars are still there in many communities, but going out of business. First, we had the federal government build the interstate freeway system. That created some suburbanization. And then you had the environmental movement, basically created a lot of no-build zones in cities, where cities had all the streets and sewer and water and storm drainage, everything you needed for development, but they had contaminated soil. The environmental movement effectively prevented people from developing in the downtown areas, and it wasn't until much later we had brownfield financing that got rid of that stigma on the downtown properties. So the downtowns of the communities have really been taking a hitting, and ever since this e-commerce got big, they've lost the price advantage as well. So people simply go down to the local bricks and mortars store, pick out the products they want, get the salesman to explain how it works, and then they go home and order it online. So this is really poison for cities in general and commercial areas. Local businesses specifically are under fire. And by making the e-commerce companies pay their fair share for any transactions taking place within the U.S. boundaries, that levels the playing field and reduces the rot of the cities. And I think the Midwest is especially hard hit. So then you look at the other side. I call it a trickle up, because for years we thought that if you give it tax advantages to corporations, they would hire and employ more people. But in reality, with the globalization, these global companies took their tax advantages from the U.S., and there was one last year as well, and invested the money overseas, accelerating the loss of jobs in the U.S. So this proposal by Yang is not a charity idea or anything like that. I think it really helps organize the U.S. economy in a more effective and competitive way. So that's what I favor about that. Now the other thing that Yang hasn't talked about, but we really need to talk to him about it, make sure it's clear. He's a very pro volunteerism, and he likes to have people volunteering for helping people. A lot of the older people could do this. A lot of the old people are struggling to pay the bills. And this guaranteed income is going to help the old people as well. And that should open up volunteerism. A part of this is the relentless automation that is, well, the truck drivers are worried about the automated vehicles, but there's all kinds of automation that is taking place that's eliminating a lot of jobs, a lot of good jobs. Yang is concerned about this. He's got some specific plans. I think we really need to go to a 3-day work week with 10 hours a day, and then people that want to advance themselves, they could work 6 hours, 6 days a week, and build up a little nest egg. Or the thing I'm interested in is internships. You should be able to get incentives to create internships. Right now, you can go to study to learn how to do a job, and after 3 or 4 years, that job has been eliminated by automation. So we need to have a labor force that's very mobile, that can move in and out of jobs, get trained in new jobs, leave the old jobs behind when they're getting phased out. And we need a lot more flexibility in the labor force. So I'd like to see Yang comment more about volunteerism and shortening the work week so that it allows people to have 2 jobs if they want to work hard 6 days a week. A lot of us that had our own businesses, we know all about working 6 days a week. We work when the work is there. Doesn't matter whether it should be a day off or not. So this is something that I think we need to be getting into, and it gives more flexibility for individuals. When I was a township supervisor, I was a politician for 12 years, I had a planning commission talk to me about home occupations. And he said 500 people working out of their homes was a lot better for the community than a big corporation that employs 500 people in a factory. The reason being, if a factory goes out of business, you've got 500 people that have to relocate or will just lose their jobs altogether. Whereas when you have 500 individuals can stand on their own 2 feet, then 10% of those might go out of business, but then you've still got 450 people left that are working. So I think that we need to encourage the individual entrepreneurs and quit giving all these tax benefits to corporations where cities are bidding against each other and things like that. This is much more rational way to manage your economy and to manage your local development. So that's something I believe Yang is for. I'd like to hear him comment more specifically about that. And these are two examples of reasons I'm supporting Yang. He's talking about positive issues that we can do if we can get some consensus. The thing I like about Yang, he's not attacking individuals. He's polite, and even people that sound really stupid, he's nice to. And that is the opposite of most of the field, both Republicans and Democrats. There's a lot of bad stuff going on, poisonous stuff, and it makes it hard for people to cooperate. I think if Yang got in there, even though he's a Democrat, I think he's got a lot of cooperation in store for us on both sides of the aisle. After all, Yang is a very successful capitalist, created a lot of value. He created volunteer organizations as well. So I think his heart is in the right place, and I think he's demonstrated through his entrepreneurial ability to think out of the box and stay with the modernization of the world. The last one that I would like to hear Yang comment, and I think he believes we need to defend our cyber borders, not just our physical borders. But China, I happen to live in China most of the time and go back and forth to the U.S. But China has got a great firewall. And that firewall is defending the country against cyber attacks and a lot of bad stuff, porno, all of these things that come across our borders with impunity. Those things are being taken care of in China with this cyber security. There's downsides to it, but for the most part, we've got to shore up our internet protections. And we can be under cyber attack, denial of service. What if the internet went down? We need a backup. And we need to have identification of these people that are using the internet for their clandestine purposes, whether it's porno, terrorism, or just political attacks on opposing parties. Well, these are the things that I think Yang, because of his technology background, his entrepreneurial background, I think he's got the ability to do this. And by not going for the cheap shots and attacking other people, he's hasn't created the enemies yet. Wait till he starts winning elections, I'm sure he'll have some enemies. But those are the things I like about Yang, and those are the things I want Yang to talk more about. By the way, I'm John Porter. I approve of this message. No taxpayers were harmed in the production of this video.